Winter can be tough, right? The cold, dry air can wreak havoc. Stuffy noses, coughing, itchy skin, even those dreaded nosebleeds. It's no wonder we're all searching for relief this time of year. That's why I stick to what's simple, effective, and trusted for over 125 years. Vicks. I've been using the Vicks Cool Relief Humidifier along with Vapo Steam and Vapo Pads all winter long. The cool, medicated mist not only eases congestion and coughing, but it also turns my space into a soothing sanctuary. Honestly, the iconic scent of Vicks takes me back to childhood, a comforting reminder of care and relief. Plus, the large tank is filter-free, easy to clean, and lasts all night. It's simple to use and so effective. Definitely a staple in my house for winter wellness. Vicks is the only humidifier brand that offers a powerful 1-2-3 combination of cough suppressant, menthol vapors, and hydrating mist. It's no wonder Vicks is the #1 brand recommended by pediatricians. So are you ready to try it yourself? Head over to Amazon and search Vicks VUL 600 Cool Relief Humidifier. It's the one with the blue tank and the white center. Right now, there's a special offer. You get 20% off your purchase. Just click the coupon to claim your discount. Take care of yourself this winter with Vicks, the trusted solution for wintertime comfort. Don't wait. Check it out today.
One of the worst things that we can have, I think, is regret. When I was diagnosed with cancer, I was facing my mortality very suddenly, very unexpectedly. That's what I felt. I felt a lot of regret for things that I hadn't done, things that I hadn't tried. And I have found I would rather do it and say, well, tried that, wasn't for me. Maybe I'll try it again in 6 months, or maybe I'll try something different. But versus wondering, to me, that's so much worse.
Welcome to the Divorce Survival Guide podcast, where we have open and honest conversations about co-parenting, separation, divorce, and the hardest question of all, should you stay or should you go? I'm Kate Anthony, your Divorce Survival Guide, and I'm here to help you navigate some of the roughest waters you've ever swum in and answer some of your toughest questions. I've been to hell and back, and now it's my mission in life to help you get to the other side of this process with your sanity and your heart intact.
Hey everyone, welcome back to the Divorce Survival Guide with Kate Anthony. I'm Darlene, Kate's podcast producer, stepping in to introduce this week's episode. Kate is joined by Joy Huber, a solo travel pro with an amazing story. After facing stage 4 cancer, Joy decided life was too short and started exploring the world on her own. Now she's here to share how solo travel can help you reconnect with yourself. Joy's got practical tips and so much inspiration to help you take that first step toward an adventure of your own. You can find all of the links and information mentioned in this episode in the show notes on your favorite listening app or over on Kate's website at kateanthony.com. And now here's Kate's conversation with Joy Huber.
Joy, thank you so much for joining us and talking about this really exciting and somewhat terrifying topic of solo travel.
I get it. Thank you so much for having me on with you today. I'll tell you, I am a fan of your show. It has helped me, and I'm looking forward to sharing my experience and knowledge to hopefully help your listeners and you, it sounds like, as well.
Yeah, I was saying to Joy before we hit record that though I am not a good solo traveler. It's not that I'm a terrible solo traveler. It's just that it's not something that I do. I'm always like, oh, I'd love to go to Europe and I would love to do like all these things. And then I'm like, I don't have anyone to do it with. And so I don't do it, which is really not a way to live, right? And so, Joy, let's start out first with how you came about doing what you do and helping and encouraging women, because, you know, speaking of not a way to live, right? This is how you started. Can you give us a little bit of the background?
Absolutely. So sadly, I hate to start off with a bad story, but
You're
we've all
here,
been
so
there.
we're okay.
We've all exactly. We've all
Right.
got those bad chapters that we can't wait to turn the page and
Mhm.
go on to what's next. Sadly, I was diagnosed with not only cancer, but stage 4 cancer when I was just in my 30s. And I actually had my own business at the time. I was traveling, doing training and public speaking. So I would see the airport, I would see the hotel, the meeting space I would speak in. And that was about the extent of it because I would deliver
Right.
my seminar or keynote and I was out the door. And that diagnosis was unexpected and devastating and really brought me to a screeching halt. So, with stage 4 cancer, I had to endure years of chemotherapy, lost all of my hair, found a very creative way to transform that trauma actually into something, dare I say, fun. And we can get into that if you have time. But
Yeah.
my specialty is, like I said, really in choosing the power of positivity and a positive attitude. So I believe for all your women, it's not what you're going through right now. It truly is how you choose to respond to it. And I overcame cancer, long story short. But as you said, don't bury the lead, right? I'm here. So
You're
I
here.
overcame.
Yeah. And stage
Stage
4, that's
4.
that's no small feat. So
Oh,
congratulations. Yeah.
terrifying. Thank you. And found after overcoming that, that really catapulted me into where I am today, realizing that life can change so fast, as we all know. And I thought I would really love to travel and have experiences and see all those places and things that people would come up to me when I was speaking and they would say, "Hey, while you're in town, you should go check this out," or "We're famous for this. Be sure you try it." And I was always like, "Oh, no, I'm just in town to keynote. I've got to get back to the airport and fly out." Well, not anymore. I learned the hard way. And I prioritize going solo now. As I've shared my stories or pictures and video, I have been peppered by so many women with so many questions. And I thought there's an opportunity here to help more women discover the true joy of solo travel. And I am joy. So great play on words there as their guide to safe and confident adventures.
Well, okay. So, I love this idea of like kind of starting small, that like if you're going somewhere, be there. Right? Like, so for
Absolutely.
example, I'm literally just online this morning planning a trip to DC to be on a TV segment. And I was like, whatever, it's DC. It's also the week of the inauguration. So, which is, not where I want to be. If the election had gone the other way, I would have been thrilled. But so I'm like, I just want to get in and get out. But then I was like, oh, look, I'm right close to here and I'll be right close to there. And my brother and sister-in-law are there. And I was like, oh, maybe I need another day.
You do. I would totally encourage you. And first off, I understand exactly what you're saying as a woman, but I would definitely encourage you while you are already there and you've invested in the travel, take care of you and do a couple of fun things. So you've definitely hit on one of my tips, which is start small. Women don't have to start with that overseas bucket list trip going all the way through Europe. You can definitely go somewhere close to home, maybe go somewhere you've vacationed before with your friends or with your family, and it's kind of familiar to you. But guess what? This time you get to do what you want to do instead of what everybody else wanted to do. And you can also start small in terms of duration. So again, maybe don't start with the 10-day or 1-2 week trip. You could start with a long weekend. You could start with an overnight, and you can always do more as you notch some of those wins and grow your confidence. And you go, well, that wasn't so bad. Or hopefully you'll go, well, that was a lot of fun.
So let's say you're in this place that you've never been and you want to find something to do, but you don't want to do all like sometimes it can be really overwhelming. You're going to get a list from the concierge, or you'll call the concierge, or you look up on TripAdvisor and it's like touristy activity after touristy activity, or it's so much stuff. I don't know what I want to do. I end up hibernating in my room and just being like, well, I'll just watch Oxygen for a couple of days.
Oh, no.
This feels relaxing to me. You know what I mean? Like what? So how do you know what to do and not feel overwhelmed and all of those things?
Right. Excellent question. So, and I offer a quick start guide for women on my website, but those are some of the key questions that I share in that guide is think about who you are and think about what you want to do because, of course, generic searches, whether it's Google, TikTok, YouTube, that will yield those touristy type things. But if you are clear on who you are or what your interests are, you become very specific with your searches, and typically it will return really good results. Now, another tip I'll share is in addition to Googling or checking YouTube or TikTok social media is let's don't forget about the emergence of artificial intelligence. So I'll go to ChatGPT and I'll give them some specifics about me, maybe my age, maybe where I'm coming from, if it's my first time in an area, and I will say, I love going wine tasting, or I love taking a sunset horseback ride. Is there anything like that in this area? And it's amazing to see what the artificial intelligence can come back with very quickly, because I do always recommend that people search online or order a visitor's guide. So if you're going to be in Washington, D.C., of course, Washington, D.C. Visitor's Guide or Washington, D.C. Convention and Visitors Bureau, and see what that turns up and look at reviews, and that can give you ideas. But if you know who you are and a little bit more about what you are looking for, you can refine or be more specific with your search.
Yeah, I love that. I have done, a couple of ChatGPT, like if I were to go to Ireland for 10 days, what would I do? Or, where should I go kind of thing. Okay, so ChatGPT, great tip. I love that. But you do have to be specific, but give them little parameters about who you are and what you like. If you have a pro account, it should store that information. It's already getting to know you, sadly and terrifyingly, but also usefully. So
very good point.
What about traveling solo as a woman? There's so many things about that can be scary, intimidating, not safe, right? What are some of your tips specifically for women who are embarking on this, who may feel like, I've never done this before. I feel unsafe. I feel unsure.
I totally understand. This is probably the number one question I get from women. I don't know if we've watched too much Dateline or heard too many true crime podcasts, but
all of that, all of the above.
All of the above, right? We get the fear. So in my coaching sessions, I like to ask specific questions of women so I can give them very customized information or results. But a few general tips. A lady I was working with recently, we identified, hey, why don't you just go out during the day and get in at night if you're really uncomfortable or if you don't feel safe? And she said, I love that. I will go out during the day, do my shopping, do my tours, and then at night, I will get my takeout or grab a great bottle of wine, come in, as you said, kick on Oxygen or go to Netflix and watch something when it's dark out. So that might be one option. Another thing you can do is join a group tour. So solo traveling doesn't mean you have to do everything solo. So you could definitely do some things solo and some things with others. But if you are just starting out, especially, I recommend that people do group tours and join in with others often during the day. Then another thing I would say is I recommend a number of really inexpensive, these are kind of some of my secrets. So you're asking great questions. So one thing that I share is to have kind of like a wrist wallet. I don't know if you've seen these, but essentially a little pouch that you could just pull onto your wrist. And then it's got a zipper where you could slide in. And I use this all the time, and I don't carry a purse, and I dress very simply. I minimize the jewelry, and I have found that really helps my confidence to soar, to be out, because I just don't feel like I would be a target. I think people look at me and go, oh, clearly she has nothing. So
she has nothing to steal, right?
No sense in targeting her. And so I will carry maybe my phone and a bottle of water. But then in this pouch, I have a room key if I'm at a hotel. I have a credit card and ID, my insurance card. I have packed these pouches full. I actually have another one, a scarf I use. I call it my kangaroo pouch. And I have put keys to the rental car in this pouch, chapstick, Kleenex, all of that. But it's a great way to get rid of the purse. And that is a good tip for women. Another, like I said, I'm full of tons of tips and ideas.
No, please give them.
I really want to help women live life fully and get out there. But another thing that I use is a door alarm that you can put in under a door that's battery operated, and you kick that on. And then if someone tries to open that door, boy, it will set off an incredibly shrill sound. Well, what I figured is there's times I've been on my own and I've wanted to do those sunset dinner cruises. And I too feel the fear or get nervous about, oh, but we get off the boat and it's dark and I have a bit of a walk to my vehicle. And one day it hit me. Why don't I just carry that door alarm with me and have that on? And if anyone approaches me, I will depress that and make that shrill sound to deter. Another tip, I could, like I said, go on for a while, but another thing I will tell you is I recently worked with a woman, and she really had some very serious safety concerns. And I was thinking, how are we going to work through this or get over this? And you know what I ended up suggesting? I told her to take a self-defense class.
Yeah, that's great. Yeah.
So I recommend that for women, or look up some videos, but learn what to do. And I have taken a self-defense class. And right after that, I went grocery shopping, and I had my bags and my hands full of groceries, and did feel that there was a guy behind me, or maybe a little bit close. And I knew my hands were full with the bags, and I thought real quick through my training, and I will honestly tell you, Kate, I literally thought, come at me, bro, because I had so many tips or tricks, tools in my arsenal. So things like that can really help you grow your confidence. And I thought, you might think my hands are full, but if you approach me, you're going to be surprised.
You're going down.
There's going to be a fight.
That's right. I have a friend who took a self-defense class. She was feeling particularly vulnerable, and she took the self-defense class, and she now promotes it and like puts it on for other women. And she said that she never felt safe as a woman until she took this class. And now she feels absolutely confident walking down the street, that she knows that she can take almost anybody in one of these situations. So I think that's great. It's great advice for all women all the time anyway. We do not live in a world where we are safe, generally speaking.
Lynn, this time of year, parenting can be such a flusterclux.
You've come to the right place.
I'm Lynn Lyons, and I've been treating anxious families for over 30 years.
I'm Lynn's sister-in-law and co-host Robin Hudson.
Join us for Flusterclux, a podcast for parents who worry.
Wait, that's everybody.
Yeah, these last few years have felt like one long anxiety attack for so many.
Why do you think parents are always surprised that a podcast about anxiety relates to them, even if no one in their house has an anxiety disorder?
Well, worry is human. Everyone does it, and anxiety shows up when we face uncertainty.
All the parenting tips you've taught me have been essential.
I love to break it down into skills we need to manage worry in our families.
We've covered so many topics: depression, burnout, meltdowns, perfectionism.
Don't forget scary mothers-in-law.
Right, but of course that's not my mother-in-law.
Because that's my mother.
And a listener.
As a psychotherapist, I like to teach parents and kids how to respond to everyday moments in healthy ways.
Managing anxiety really can be taught.
It really can. And I'll even tell you what to say.
We talk about serious stuff, but without being too serious.
Anxiety wants everything serious. Anxiety doesn't stand a chance when we're laughing, even about the tough stuff.
Hello, you sentient ball of stardust. My name is Casey Davis. I'm a therapist and I'm an author of the book How to Keep House While Drowning, where I talk about ways to make it a little bit easier to take care of yourself when you're overwhelmed, stressed, have mental health issues, physical health issues, or maybe you're just in a hard season of life. Maybe you're looking for a place that you can come and listen to some practical advice. This is a podcast for all of the self-help rejects. We're going to talk about skills for survival and self-kindness. And I'm going to leave the pop psychology at the door. I promise not to tell you to meditate or to journal. We're just going to give you some really insightful conversations with hopefully some practical advice. So I don't believe you need to pick yourself up by the bootstraps. I don't want you to just try harder, and I don't believe that laziness exists. So join me over on Struggle Care, where we can find compassionate solutions that help us function a little bit better.
So one of the solo trips that I took was right after my divorce. And I was like, okay, I'm terrible at solo travel. I'm actually pretty terrible. I don't know how to be alone anymore. So I'm going to go do this. My son was going on spring break with his dad to visit his grandparents. And I was like, all right, I'm going to do this. And I took myself actually to Hawaii. And I talked to my friends who were from Hawaii. And I was like, where should I go? Because I was thinking somewhere like Kauai or Maui. And they were like, you know what? Just go to Oahu, go to Honolulu, because there will be other people around. There's going to be more to do. You're going to be less isolated. And I was like, okay. And that was a good idea. And I did that, but I did one of those sunset cruises. I just thought about this as you were talking about it. I did one of those sunset cruises, and it was a couples booze fest. It made me feel more alone. So what are your tips for helping women avoid, that feeling of just being the singleton?
So, and I have, as we talked about, been on those, and I am usually just having so much fun. There are times the couples are looking at me, or the women are like, you have inspired me to do my own thing. I might be with my boyfriend or whoever tonight, but I'm going to totally do what I want, when I want, go where I want here sometime soon. So typically, I think with me having gone through stage 4 cancer, I just recognize what a privilege it is to have my good health and to be able to take in the moment. And I just decide up front, that positive mindset, that I am going to have fun. And I will tell you, one of my great tips when I am surrounded by others is a lot of times you see those couples and they are struggling to get the photos. They are struggling to get the selfie with the sunset. And I will step in, gingerly or politely and just offer to take their photo. And I find that then, of course, they want to take a great photo of me with the sunset behind me. And we just naturally strike up conversation. And then I feel included, or feel like, hey, I'm not a sore thumb sticking out. I am here enjoying myself, having a great time. And I'll tell you, I don't know if you've ever been on those things and you see other couples start to fight, but I have, and it reinforces for me. I'm like, I am so glad I am doing this on my own, because I can hear them fighting and it just reinforces. So glad I'm doing this and I get to enjoy peace.
I so agree. And the other thing is that I always do this, right? Doing what I do, I know entirely too much about what goes on behind the closed doors of these relationships. And so I'm
Right.
always reminded when I'm the single person that most of the women in those couples are actually looking at me going, oh my God, I wish I was on my own right now.
Exactly. And that's what I will have women tell me is they're like, you look like you're having so much fun. And they will say, this reminded me, you inspired me to do something for myself sooner rather than later. Because of course, as I share my story and they realize, sadly, the clock is ticking for all of us. And
right.
we are all a heart attack, a car accident, or a diagnosis away from a completely different life. And that's why I really encourage women to go now, don't delay. I mean, surely, well, hopefully I will have more money, maybe more resources when I'm older or retired. But who knows how my mobility will be? Who knows how my health will be?
Yeah.
And so I have just decided to prioritize this now, and do it now. And yeah, and a lot of times, people are trying to get those Instagrammable moments. And so they smile for the camera or to take the selfie. And then so many times I've seen fights break out where, the guy orders another drink and the wife's like, oh, having another. Let's try to make this a fun night where we don't just drink and get plastered by the end of the
Right.
You can tell
Yep, absolutely. Or, you see families and you've got the mom running around doing all of the caretaking and the playing and the organizing, and the dad's just like kicking back with a beer. For women who are going through divorce, which most of my audience is, or they're either contemplating it or they're going through it, most of them will have shared custody, for better or worse, and they're going to have this newfound time. There will be weekends. There will be vacations that the kids are gone with dad, or their other mom. How do you suggest women figure out where they want to go? Okay, I've got a week in spring break. I know that the kids are going to be gone and I can take some time off and I want to make the most of this. Where do I go? Do you have tips for helping people figure out where to go?
Oh, absolutely. I have helped enough women. I think at this point I can answer almost any question or strategize, partner with the woman to come up with solutions. So this is where I go back to those fundamental questions we talked about. Get to know who you are and try not to define yourself in relation to someone else. So try not to define yourself as I'm so-and-so's partner or ex-wife. I'm so-and-so's mother. But think about who you are. I love to play piano. Well, maybe you want to take in some type of musical event or concert or something that the kids never want to do. And as you said, when you have that shared custody and you have that free weekend or week, this is your chance to finally get to do what you want. So really thinking about who you are and thinking about where you want to go or what you want to do. I will make a list of places I am interested in, and then I will do those Google searches or look up those visitors guides, and I order several, and then I like to page through them. I'm still a hard copy person with the visitors guides, but I like to either put sticky notes on a page or dog ear or flip down and determine, hey, this is what I'm interested in. And a lot of times too, with my quick start guide, I give away a spreadsheet where people can plug in costs and it helps them total and get an estimate of what their trip will cost. And so a lot of times that helps you determine, oh, well, I'd like to go there, but that place is maybe out of my budget. So I might make that a bucket list trip down the road. Let me start with something smaller or something shorter. But, for me, I love things like spas. So I'm always looking, where is a spa close to where I live, where I am very busy with my career. And a lot of times when I'm going solo, I just want to get away and get wrapped up in a cocoon and take a little nap. And I go back to my room and no one is there. And it is so freeing. I mean, to me, that is not loneliness. And so I've worked with
me
customers
neither.
too to just reframe how you look at it. It's like, is that lonely or is that freedom? To me, it's freedom. Nobody's wanting anything or asking for something. And it's just all about me time. I can make a hot cup of tea or pour a glass of wine and just relax. But I think as women, the more introspective we are, or the better we get to know ourselves and start doing research online, looking through visitors' guides, you will get ideas. You know, if you're just starting, you might say, hey, I don't want to go to the big city. I want to start small. And so it's those types of questions that I ask coaching clients, and it helps them kind of determine, hey, Washington, D.C., or San Francisco, or Chicago, or Dallas, or, you know, these bigger areas, Atlanta, those aren't for me yet. And a lot of times I tell women, put yet at the end of that sentence. So I'm not ready to do this yet.
Right. Yeah.
But I will get there. I'm working on this so I'm able to do this and live a life full of freedom in the future.
You also help women you actually create solo travel plans for women. Is that right?
Yes, that is actually the newest thing. So I started off recognizing that there was a gap where there's just this gap between women who want to solo travel and have yet to take the leap.
Yes.
And I realized, how do we cross that gap? And and that's where I created that quick start guide with the spreadsheet. That's where I thought, well, I'll do a personal coaching call. A lot of times women have something private they want to share or talk to me about. So we just do one-on-one. I also do small group webinars that are a little bit more affordable. So if you want to join one of those and get your questions answered. But yes, it didn't make sense to pour into the woman, help her grow her confidence and encourage her, and then say, okay, well, good luck. You're off on your own.
Right.
So more women said, could you help me plan the trip? And so, yes, I'm available to do that now.
I love that. What do you think of those? There are a few women solo travel companies out there that do like organized tours and organized trips. What are your thoughts on those?
Yeah, to me, it depends. So I would do your research and read the fine print and definitely look at the reviews. There are some I feel can be really good. Again, just depending on knowing the woman. So going back to those foundational questions of who are you? What do you want to do? Where do you think you want to go?
Yeah.
Do you love the beach and you could never get your family to go there because they were mountain people and they always wanted to go skiing? So as you ask yourself those questions, it will help you. Joining a group or doing a tour like that can be a lot of fun. What makes me really concerned is sometimes I see women online in groups and they're saying, I'm going through a divorce. I want to solo travel. Not sure if I'm ready to go on my own. So I'm seeking a travel buddy. And I get really worried.
Oh my God, that sounds terrifying.
Right. I totally agree. And
you're gonna go like internationally traveling with somebody you've never met before? Good God.
Even domestically, it's like, what if you don't hit it off? And I think maybe they're just looking for someone to share costs with. But that's where I recommend using the spreadsheet and getting an estimate of your costs and determining what's feasible. And again, you can always start small and do more down the road. Do your bucket list as you get some additional income or sell off your ex-husband's things. Or no, I didn't say that out loud. So
you know, one of the things that sort of we're talking about here is really important, and it's important to my audience, right? It's like getting to know who you are now, or what are those niggling dreams that have been sort of like gnawing at the back of your brain that you haven't been able to fulfill while you have been married and, full time with your family. And that sometimes the space that this time of your life opens up can feel scary and a little bit like, why I don't know what I have no idea what to do right now.
Right.
And I don't know
Understandable.
how, right? And so this introspection and asking these questions and figuring out like, okay, who am I now? What do I want now? What do I do? What do I like to do with my time? For many women, they don't actually know, right? And so, but they're also not used to asking these questions. And so it's such a great exercise to actually even thinking about travel, which we definitely want you to do. But even, right, it's like as you're going through this process, even if you're not going on a trip now, you're asking these questions that are actually important for you to be asking yourself at this time of your life.
If you don't know what you do want, here's my tip. Start with what you don't want, and you can narrow it down, right? So start thinking about things. And if you go, well, I have no idea. I have been focused on being these 3 kids' mom for the past 21 years. And now they have flown the nest and I've split with my partner. And again, it feels freeing, but it can feel terrifying. And I definitely understand that and am here to support and encourage women. But yeah, just start asking yourself or looking at ideas. And that's right. I love to flip through those in print visitor guides versus online because I'll see different things and I'll go, nope, not that. Nope, not that. I mean, golf, for example. I am not a golfer. Right. Right. So, but see where when you say what it's not, you might say, well, it's not skiing. It's not golf. It's not anything to do with horses. It's not spas. It's not wine. Oh, but it is shopping. And guess what? I could never shop without feeling like the game warden was next to me policing how much I was spending and that's exactly what I'm going to do. And I'm super into, you decide whatever it is, maple syrup or whatever. And you say, well, hey, that gives me an idea. Maybe I'll go to the Northeast, to Vermont or an area that's famous for this. And it's like I said, you begin with what it's not. And then before you know it, you find what it is. As a side note, I have a maybe weird, you tell me, but fascination or obsession with the Kennedy family. And I was born in the 70s and I just wish I'd been around in the 60s because I'm just fascinated by this family. And so this might be bad, but one of my trips, I decided I need to get to Dallas.
Oh, wow.
I need to get to the site of the JFK assassination. And of course, I'm asking around, and guess what? Nobody else is interested in doing this. Nobody else has this fascination or obsession. So that is a classic solo trip. But I share that to give your listeners an idea of where is it that you are always asking other people to go and nobody's interested? Nobody wants to go there. And that might be a place you start. So I went to Dallas and I went to that 6th floor museum and I could spend as much time there as I wanted without anyone griping. I'm bored. Can we go now? I'm ready. And I got to read everything and look and listen and just fascinated as can be trying to take it all in. So that's just one example.
Sure. That's fascinating. I love that. It is really, it's like, finding who you are and what you like. I like the idea of starting with what you don't like, because for me too, golf or snow, cold, no, not so much. Right. And when I also, one of the things that always stops me is long flights. Long flights it's like I moved to California and it didn't occur to me that Europe was going to be so far away. Because when you live on the East Coast, you can go to Europe almost as easily as you can go to California, right?
Right.
And from California, you really can't. So that's one of my sob stories.
Yes. And then you start thinking, well, there's so much in the US. What can I do here? So where can I get to know I'll tell you, I had family in Southern California and would always fly into Burbank versus LAX. Unfortunately, the great aunt passed away, and she was kind of the glue that brought us out there or to spend time with that part of the family. And when she passed, then I realized I've been to California, but I've only been to Santa Clarita, Lancaster, Palmdale, Burbank.
Oh, good God.
Those
Yeah.
areas. And
Yeah.
I thought California is such a huge state. So I have expanded my horizons as I've grown my confidence. And I flew into Burbank because, see, it was familiar to me.
Sure. Oh,
the
sure.
train
It's also
station is
way better airport.
in LAX. Yeah,
Way better
the train
airport.
station is right there, though. So I
Mhm.
hopped on the Amtrak and I took a train trip by myself. Had a blast, went up to, I won't say it right, but Paso Robles?
Paso Robles.
Robles.
Robles, which is weird. Yes.
Went up there and got off the train, did the sensorial light display, did some wine tasting, got back on the train. But where I wanted to go was Napa and Sonoma and wine country. So I took the train on up to San Francisco. Well, the train doesn't go there, it goes to Emeryville, but took a bus into San Francisco across the Golden Gate and was able to then take a bus tour, let someone else do the driving so I
Yes,
could
right.
get my buzz on
So you
and
could
go
drink
wine
the wine.
tasting.
Right.
But it is just so freeing and fulfilling. And I feel every woman deserves to experience that. And I know in the beginning it will feel awkward, it will feel uncomfortable. And I think we should just know that and embrace it. And just like anything new we're doing, the first time you go meet someone for a date or the first time you create an online profile, it will feel weird and uncomfortable. But that's where I tell women to add yet at the end of the sentence. And that's been so powerful. They say, I'm not comfortable doing this. And I say, yet.
Yet. Right. I love that.
We will get there. Don't give up on it.
Yeah, I love that. I used to be uncomfortable. I used to not be able to travel by myself. I used to not be able to, to be honest, like a good 30 years ago, how old am I? Yeah, a good 30 years ago, I couldn't actually be alone. Right. I would have panic attacks if I didn't have plans, if I didn't have something to do, because I really was not comfortable in my own skin. And now I'm a fucking homebody, and it is hard to get me out to do things, for better or worse. I think the pandemic kind of, sort of put some cement blocks on my feet. And now I'm a great traveler by myself. I go, I'll go for 2-3 days to a spa out in the desert and spend time to get, but I've actually gotten to the point where I'm comfortable with that. And also I'm done with that. I'm done with that. Now I'm ready for more, which I think speaks to your, right? Like baby steps. We can, go to a spa for a day or two.
Right.
Or if you hate spas, don't go to a spa, but whatever it is, and live in the discomfort. I've also
Absolutely.
left. I think I booked 3 nights once a couple of years ago out at the spa that I love in the desert. And after 2 days, I was like, I am so done. I'm so done.
I'm ready to go home. And that's okay too.
And I did.
Because guess what? When you're by yourself, you're the boss. So if you want ice cream for dinner, go get a triple scoop banana split and sit in your room and drink wine and eat ice cream and just enjoy, live it up. This is your time to do what you want. And if it doesn't serve you, it's like, why would I keep, let me just try it though. The women I've worked with, I found that they're happier that they've tried it versus not trying and then wondering, because I think I found with my cancer, one of the worst things that we can have, I think, is regret. When I was diagnosed with cancer, I was facing my mortality very suddenly, very unexpectedly. And that's what I felt, is I felt a lot of regret for things that I hadn't done, things that I hadn't tried. And I have found I would rather do it and say, well, tried that, wasn't for me. Maybe I'll try it again in 6 months, or maybe I'll try something different. But versus wondering, to me, that's so much worse. That regret, saying, I thought about solo traveling and I just never got over the hump. I just never got out there. And now I really regret it. I really wonder if it wouldn't have been a lot of fun. And I can assure you it is, but you have to try and you have to fine tune. Right. Try something and decide what doesn't work for you and tuck that away and say, hey, I'm glad I did it. I'm glad I tried. I learned that skiing is not for me. And next time I will do something completely different. So
That's right. I was just reminded as you were talking, I'd totally forgotten about this, but my grandmother died, I think she was 87 when she died. And so he was a similar age. And my grandmother, he always wanted to travel, always wanted to travel. The only place she would travel was to Florida to go to the spa. And so he never got to see the places that he wanted to go. And so when he was about 87, that man, when she died, the first thing he did was book trips. I think he went to Turkey. He went to Italy. Like he did like 2 or 3 really big international trips at a ripe old age. At the time, I'm not sure. I thought it was like, oh my God, you go, Grandpa. That's amazing. And now I'm sort of thinking about it not differently, but like, wow, that's how incredible that he got to do that. And how sad that he did spend so much of his life in deference to my grandmother, who I think, she had her preferences. My grandpa, this is a total sidebar. They lived in New Jersey and he worked on Long Island. Now, for anyone who doesn't know, the entire island of Manhattan is between New Jersey and Long Island. And he did that commute every fucking day because she had to live in New Jersey.
Oh my goodness.
So he gave so much of his life in service of her, and in many ways that was lovely. But also then when she passed away, he was, and by the way, she was in a nursing home for many years, and he went every single day to see her. But once she died, he did. And I don't want that to be us. That shouldn't be us. Right? We should not be doing these big trips on our deathbeds. We should be doing them now.
While you have your mobility, while you have your good health, because that's one thing I will notice. I am bounding around as a upper 40s and you see people and again, I'm going, gosh, they sure look like they have a lot more money than I do, but they're really struggling to walk. They're struggling to get up the steps. And it always affirms for me, I'm so glad I'm doing this now. I'm so glad I prioritized travel over, for me, shopping is not my thing. And so that's something I often tell clients is you have to prioritize and pick and choose. Right. So if you want to travel and have the experiences, you may have to cut some of the shopping, but I gladly do that. That is not my thing because I would rather have the story to tell and the moments to relive versus another sweater to show or another bag.
I was just thinking, I was like, every single time I want to spend however much money on some fucking doodad bullshit on Amazon, I should deposit that money into a travel account.
Exactly. There was a study, let's see, I'll draw a blank right now on the source, but you can Google and find it. But there was a study and it showed that people actually derived more happiness, more satisfaction, more fulfillment out of experiences versus things.
Oh, I don't get it. Yeah, exactly.
Well, it cracks me up when I tap my Facebook memories and it comes up again and I just relive the moment and the experience and I feel that golden sunlight on my face or I feel what that felt like and it's like it was so worth it. And I'm such an advocate for that because I want every woman to try it. I want every woman to experience the joy of solo travel and great play on words there with my name being Joy. So I'm here to guide them and help them. People can follow me on social media at Travel with Joy TV. So Travel with Joy TV on Facebook, Instagram, or TikTok. And a lot of times people pull up my Instagram or my social media and they say, gosh, there's a lot here to go back and go through. And so I set up where people can sign up on my website and get it all delivered right to your inbox for free. They can sign up at travelwithjoytv.com and I will deliver the tips and information like the door alarm. We talked about the wrist wallet. I will give you links to those specific things if you want to grab those tools on Amazon.
Great. That's perfect. I was just about to ask you where people can find you. So it's travelwithjoytv.com and all of your links to socials are there. Joy, thank you so much for sharing this. This has been a great conversation, and I really hope it inspires women to think more sort of positively and excitedly about their futures.
Absolutely. There is so much hope out there for you. And I hope you feel that now, that there is a great life just up ahead. On the other side of fear is so much joy and happiness. And if you need help, don't hesitate to reach out, because happy to pour that confidence into you and to help you live your life fully. Thank you so much for having me on.
Thank you.
Thanks for tuning in to another episode of the Divorce Survival Guide podcast. If you like what you hear, head on over to Apple Podcasts or wherever you listen in and leave me a review. And don't forget to follow me on Instagram at the Divorce Survival Guide. I'll see you next time, and until then, remember, you, my love, deserve to be happy.
Hello, you sentient ball of stardust. My name is Casey Davis. I'm a therapist, and I'm an author of the book How to Keep House While Drowning, where I talk about ways to make it a little bit easier to take care of yourself when you're overwhelmed, stressed, have mental health issues, physical health issues, or maybe you're just in a hard season of life. Maybe you're looking for a place that you can come and listen to some practical advice. This is a podcast for all of the self-help rejects. We're going to talk about skills for survival and self-kindness. And I'm going to leave the pop psychology at the door. I promise not to tell you to meditate or to journal. We're just going to give you some really insightful conversations with hopefully some practical advice. So I don't believe you need to pick yourself up by the bootstraps. I don't want you to just try harder, and I don't believe that laziness exists. So join me over on Struggle Care, where we can find compassionate solutions that help us function a little bit better.